The University of Alabama football program enjoyed bright moments in the 1980s. Coach Paul Bear Bryant's 315th coaching win and shared SEC championships. But the success of the 80s was nothing like that of the prior 2 decades when the Crimson Tide won 6 national titles. Alabama entered the 1990s with its 3rd different post-Bryant coach at the helm, and Alabama fans weren't overly enthusiastic about the latest hire, a Bryant disciple with college and NFL head coaching experience named Gene Stallings. But Stallings would win over his constituents with steady leadership and a manner that reminded many of his teacher. With the right players in place, the veteran coach believed he could win at Alabama. One of the right players was George Teague, the product of a military family who, in the mid-1980s, relocated to Montgomery, Alabama, home to Jefferson Davis High School.
Very big family, very big family. I'm the youngest, pretty close, wide range in age and things. Had some people to look up to as far as, athletic-wise. When you got that many, you kind of have to start to be a little bit tough. If you don't learn how to catch a football when you got that many brothers, it's going to be a big problem. So I took a few footballs to the face, let's put it that way.
His dad was in the military, and he was gone a lot. His mother was an outstanding lady. I've met her and talked with her on many occasions, and she was the typical mother who was so very proud of her son when he did something good and very disappointed if he did something that wasn't so good.
First time I met George, he was a really reserved guy, quiet, kind of walked on eggshells because he was trying to fit in, but he had this great athletic ability. The guy could absolutely run.
Because of my background, my father's in the military, moved around, lived overseas for a while. For 4 years, I lived in Germany, and so soccer was a very important part of my life between 3rd grade and 6th grade, 7th grade. And I really took a liking to soccer, played on some German teams. I was a pretty good soccer player. So I was kind of torn in between the two.
George came to us his 9th grade year for spring training. He had moved into Montgomery from Michigan, and he was kind of frail and thin, and didn't think a whole lot about him, but the more you were around him, the more you watched him play, the more you appreciated his abilities.
My mother, Dorothy Teague, is actually one who pulled me to the side. Wasn't to the side, she just really kind of snatched me up and said, "Look here, son, you're not playing soccer. You can go ahead and put those cleats up. Go ahead and find you a place out there in that football field and get after it, because you're not going anywhere in soccer." Amazing. It's amazing. You're talking about decisions and things that happen to you. Now, I sucked it up and just said, "Okay, Mom, I'll go find somewhere to play." Didn't know, I knew it wasn't going to be a tailback. Only thing I knew to do was try to use my speed and go cover somebody. That's how I ended up playing defensive back.
It wouldn't take long for Teague to find his place. He quickly made a name for himself with his quick feet, and on fall Friday nights in Alabama, Jeff Davis High School was among the state's elite.
If we were playing an in-town team like Lee or somebody like that, you need to get here about an hour and a half before. This stadium seats about 22,000, and it would be full, so it was a great thrill to come out on Friday nights and play your city rivals like that.
It was like an Auburn, Alabama game. The stadium was full. Everybody came out to see Jeff Davis play because they knew it was going to be an exciting game.
We had a team our senior year that should have won the championship, but turnovers here and there, injuries here and there kind of prevented that. But George was a standout guy. He was a punt returner, special teams player, and the premier safety in our area.
You didn't have to worry too much about folks throwing it deep or outrunning you or anything like that, so you could concentrate on handling the run up there and getting all the help you needed out of the 2 safeties.
We used to fight over him a little bit. I always wanted to move him on offense a little bit because and run a toss sweep with him or get the ball in his hands because of his speed. But we did have him return punt some. I think one ball game he had 2 touchdowns on interceptions, or an interception and a punt return, so he was a scorer also.
I started to get recognized pretty early as far as being all city, all area, and started seeing my name in the newspaper coming across lists and things. So that's when it kind of became a reality to me that, I might have a real chance at this.
I had one of the top, in my opinion, top head coaches in the Southeastern Conference, was recruiting our two safeties. And he told me, he said, you know, I don't think I've ever seen two high school boys that cover the field any better than your two do.
You know, those days we started working out with guys in college when they came back for the summer months, because we had a bunch of guys that would come back and work out locally there. So I would try to cover them. I would be the DB, you know, and start building on this dream that if I can cover these guys, I might be able to play.
Teague was a solid Division I prospect and drew attention from schools across the Southeast, but his sights were set on Ann Arbor, home to the University of Michigan.
So I had this infatuation about the Wolverines and the uniform, and Bo Schembechler and all those guys were up there. And me not being centrally from Alabama, I didn't necessarily per se have that love for Bear Bryant and University of Alabama. You know, I just wanted to go play.
I sat down and wrote Coach Schembechler a letter, and I just told him that I had a defensive back down here that was 6'1" or 2", weighed about 180 pounds, that could run, was a great player, had good grades, and had been born in Michigan, and he was interested in going to Michigan, and if he would like to see some film or anything on him, I would be glad to get it and send it to him. And I never got a reply.
I think he was a little bit depressed, you know, is that the school he dreamed about playing at all these years didn't want to have anything to do with him. And so then the other schools around, and he had a lot. He could have gone probably most anywhere in the Southeastern Conference that he wanted to go.
We took a visit to Georgia Tech together. The next week, we were supposed to go to Alabama. I went to Clemson, he came to Alabama, and the rest is history. But I kind of wanted to play with George because I knew what he would be eventually. But when he came up here to the capstone, it was over. He had made his decision.
Bill Curry came in. He's got to be the best motivator, both speaker that I've probably ever been around. I mean, he came in and he put that nice, stern, deep voice on you and just told him everything that was positive about the University of Alabama. You know, about the alumni, job opportunities, getting your degree, playing at a high level, being on national television, you know, just really poured out the love. Definitely sold it to my mom and my dad and every brother and sister that I had. Then he came back down to my house shortly after that, down to the old projects of Montgomery, and sat in our living room, in one little bit of the old living room that we had, and went into this whole spiel again. And it was just like, you know, how can I tell this guy no? You know, all the tradition, you know, with the Bear Bryant and winning and going to the pros and have the opportunity and all this kind of stuff. And it just, I gave him that commitment on the spot.
Teague arrived on campus in the summer of 1989 as part of Bill Curry's third recruiting class. He hoped to find playing time in a defensive backfield that included standouts John Mangum and Ephraim Thomas. From the beginning, Teague found the environment in Tuscaloosa to his liking.
You know, I think it was made very clear from the beginning that we're family. We all lived in this dorm. We were able to live in the dorms at this point in time. And everybody in here is your big brother.
First of all, George Teague was a good person. He was fun to coach. You know, he was the kind that sort of had a happy face. You know, you knew George Teague was going to play as well as he's capable of playing. Now, he didn't have the great speed, even though the Miami people may differ from that. You know, he went ahead and played pro ball for a while because he was a knowledgeable, good football player. I've kind of been the person where you're going to get everything out of me anyway, because I'm so worried about not necessarily not fitting in, but not pouring everything out into what I'm doing. Also, if your grades weren't right, or if you were late to practice, or you didn't do all your reps, you're going to have to pull a truck, or you're going to have to push a mountain, or you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to go to the lower gym. You're going to throw up one way or the other. And I didn't want any part of that at all.
The thing about George, you're talking about a guy with great athletic ability. I mean, a guy could run all day. You know, he could play corner, he could play safety. He was a big hitter. He had a nose for making the big play, and he was smart. So I think George watched enough film to where you put that together with his athletic ability and, you know, the intelligence and the film watching, and you've got a playmaker, you know, ready to make a play.
He is a tremendous competitor, no matter what you do. I mean, whether it's playing cards, whether it's dominoes, whatever it is, he is a tremendous competitor. And he wants to win, and he's always been that way. Probably the most fierce competitors that I've been around.
Well, you know, he earned the nickname Glue, and one of the coaches up there, I think it was Don Lindsay, with the Curry group, and he always called him Glue, and everybody was, you know, why they always called him Glue, and the reason was he had good hands. If he touched the ball or either got a chance to even get it anywhere near, he was going to pick it off or intercept it, running back for a touchdown or anything. He was just that good.
I played a lot. I played behind John Mangum, though, because he just started. So I came in for nickel and or dime, depending on which game. Antonio London and I were the only two guys that did not get redshirted our freshman year, 1989. So we progressed a little bit faster, I guess, and were able to get on the field, a lot of special teams. But I had some good fond memories of my rookie year, my freshman year.
But the good feelings wouldn't last long. Though coming off a 10-win season and a Sugar Bowl berth, Coach Curry opted to leave Tuscaloosa for the University of Kentucky. His former players were left to pick up the pieces.
First thing I thought of was transfer, actually. You know, I had put so much faith in what Bill Curry was saying and the dream that I was sold and people that I liked and the way my first year had went, you know, being able to play. Then all the rest kind of goes, oh, here's a new guy, he's going to bring in his own kids. You know, he might not even want to have me because he don't like this kind of guy, so I need to hurry up and get out of here before it's, you know, that was the first thought that even came in my mind. And then it was more so, well, why would you want to do that? Bill Oliver was coming in, Gene Stallings, a lot of, you know, high-powered kind of guys that were coming in. And I said, you know, I'm just going to suck it up and just see what comes out of it.
I think it was a big difference to me playing under Curry and playing under Stallings. Stallings was a more hands-on guy, whereas Curry, we had a tower out there. He usually just stood in the tower and just kind of watched and evaluated the film, then would come in the next afternoon and make comments on certain things you did, whether you did them wrong or right, whereas Stallings was hands-on. He was always on the field, walking around.
The thing that was surprising about Coach Stallings is that he knew every position on the field, and he knew every play for every position on the field. And unlike, you know, Coach Curry is kind of hands-off and let the coaches do all the work. Coach Stallings at any given time would jump in any drill and actually tell you exactly your responsibilities, and he would show you what you're supposed to be doing.
He didn't always step into the defensive practice, but if something was out of place or if he wanted to see something a little different, he would. And he could be way over there on the offensive side of the ball, and we could be over here practicing defense on another field, and you'll hear Coach Stallings, don't do that! You know, he talking to the defensive linebackers from way over there.
He come in, hey, George, do you want to go to the pros? Now, I'd have been there. I'm telling you, turn like this, get that. He'd get his old 60-year-old knees or however old he was and get in the stance and say, do it like this. I'm telling you, do it like this, and you'll go to the league. And so, you know, you listen and you say, all right, Coach, whatever you say, I'm going to do it.
There's no substitute for knowledge when you're coaching. You know, I understood what was happening offensively, defensively, kicking the game because that was my business. I tried to be fair to the player. Did I treat everybody the same way? No. Because everybody didn't have the same privileges. Now, rules were rules. But I sort of handled players a little differently, and I handled them the way I felt like they needed to be handled.
I do know that some coaches tried to emulate Coach Bryant that played for him, and it didn't work. They tried to be hard and tough and all this, but you have to be whomever you are. You have to be that person, not Coach Bryant or anybody else. And that's why Stallings was successful, I think, because he was just being himself.
He surrounded himself with a great staff. They went out and got good players and let the coaches just coach the players. And Coach Stallings, he just oversaw the whole thing. If guys had problems, you know, they'd go in and see Gene, and pretty soon they wouldn't have problems anymore. You know, whatever he had to do, he kept the ship righted. He kept us going straight.
That next spring is when good. I got enough praise, I guess, to where I felt like it was a good enough decision for me to stay. Glad I did. Glad it all turned out that way. But it was very tough having a coaching change in the middle of your tenure.
By 1991, everyone had grown accustomed to Stallings' way of doing things. Alabama posted an 11-1 record to close out the season. And though Teague had established himself as a standout on the team with high expectations, he found himself struggling to cope with life and the spotlight.
My junior year, I was in the dumps. After the season was over with, I guess we call it hitting the wall or running into the wall. I'd hit it. Nothing was going good, and I was struggling academically. Being now who is my wife now, we're struggling with the relationship, and just all kind of stuff was going on. And thankfully, my brother, closest brother, I was telling you about, lived in Wichita, came down, scooped me up. I believe my wife now is the one that called him and said, "Man, you need to come down and get this cat because he's doing stupid stuff. Out too late, drinking too much, whatever. He's gonna kill himself here in a minute. If you don't come get him, it's gonna end." And I had to go. I stayed up there with him for a summer. I think I was able to get away from, the glamorous life of being a star on the Alabama football team. And just not being associated with any of that. Nobody cared about it in Wichita, Kansas. No one cared I played for University of Alabama. Didn't know who I was, could care less. Basically slept down in my brother's basement, was able just to reflect, and we got refocused and said, "Man, you got to go ahead and try to pull this thing out, or all your dreams are about to be gone."
Teague returned to Tuscaloosa a different man than when he left, and he sensed a different mood among his teammates. With his senior season of Alabama football looming, Teague was determined to make it count.
Coming back onto the campus, starting to work out, seeing everybody's attitude kind of kicked into the football part again. Hey, this guy's fast. This guy can run. This guy can catch. This guy got attitude. That guy can throw the ball. He can catch it. We all got everybody had a little bit of chip on the shoulder, which we didn't really, we had that, but it wasn't that we're going to whoop anybody's butt that comes in front of us. And that's where we were at that year. It was a little bit of anger, a little bit of bring it on anybody kind of deal.
You had a lot of guys out there that was actually wanting to set the tempo. A lot of guys wanted the same thing, and I think that's what made us so good, because we all were hungry and we all wanted to be good. And some days you may have a bad day where somebody else picks it up. There's some obvious leaders that stand to mind out there. Your Eric Currys, your John Copeland, Teague, and Oden, things of that nature. But at the same time, everybody brought something special to the table.
Everybody on that defense had so much hustle and want to in them that we were fighting for tackles. That's the bottom line. I felt like I had to, hustle my butt off just to make a tackle.
There were several moves of personnel defensively. Like Curry was a stand-up linebacker. He had been moved to a down position by Coach Stallings and our defensive coaches. And Copeland coming in, I think, from a junior college.
Didn't realize overall that we could run as well as a total team. Up front, second wave, all the way back, and we were very fortunate. We had about 7 defensive backs we could play. In the past, I never had any more than 4.
Each and every day that we open practice, the team peers like 7-on-7, and in the team peer, we would go 1 against 1. Who better to go against than Jay Barker going against Copeland and Curry, and the running backs going against our linebackers, David Palmer, Prince, Kevin Lee, all these guys going against us and us going against them. What better competition to have than what we got? We were stacked now. If we can go against them and they can't move the ball on us, or if they can go against us sometimes and move the ball on us, there wasn't another team out there that they could face that they couldn't move the ball on. It wasn't a team out there that we couldn't play, that we couldn't shut down.
We would be on the practice field, and some of the things we would do in the work ethic of the other players, it started to come together, and you could see it. At first, you couldn't really see what was going on. We were just out there playing football, having fun. And then watching it on film, you could see it all coming together.
going into that year, we just knew, we felt very confident that we were going to be a dominant defensive team.
Alabama started off the 1992 season with closer than expected wins over Vanderbilt and Southern Miss. The defense allowed less than 300 yards in total in the first two games, while the Tide offense stuck to its run-first credo. Some fans were critical of the lack of point production.
The fans never liked his offense that much. But of course, fans are fans. They're strange. I remember Coach Bryant in the 70s, when nobody could beat Alabama, the fans were complaining because they didn't like the wishbone. It was boring. And that Alabama had become robotic. They beat people like just machines. And then when you change, you go the other. When you lose the game, you say, why did you leave the wishbone? So you can't win.
My basic philosophy says if you can run the football, you can stop the run. If you're a plus and give away, take away, and you're a good third down team, then you've got a chance to win practically every game you're in.
You know, a lot of people say that he might not have been the best X's and O's coach because our offense didn't score a lot of points. We didn't spread people out and, you know, do all this other stuff. But I guess I really like that old school football. I like run the ball, stop the run. That philosophy, I think it works. I mean, it did work. I mean, we won a national championship off of that philosophy.
And our mentality was that year is we weren't going to never point fingers at nobody on our defense, offensively, or special team. Sometimes I get upset, man. I hear people talking about, well, our defense was on the field too long. Guess what? Whatever we had to do to win a football game, that was our mentality. We young, we 19, 20, we run all day. So you got to play 90 snaps a game. And we take our body long to recover, to heal up, so we all right.
You know, we play within the framework of the football team. If our guys went out there and they put up 10, 13 points, we should win the game. Defensively, we wanted to be on the field. When they go out and go 3 and out, we enjoyed that. We liked that. We wanted to be on the football field. We enjoyed playing football.
The philosophy that Coach Oliver always had with us is if they don't score, they don't win. 0-0 is a tie game. And, you know, by the way, guys, you can score on defense.
And it became to more where we said we need to become more aggressive, not bad-mouthing or bashing anybody on offense more so. We just got to do our job, and we got to kick this up. So when you get an interception, you need to take it to the house. Cause a fumble, pick it up, run it in. We don't want to stall on the 1, we don't want to stall on the 3 or the 10 or whatever it is. If you got a chance to score, get in the end zone.
2nd and 14 for the Vols from their own 34-yard line. Schuler dropping back under pressure, throws it long, tipped away. Intercepted as Michael Rogers tipped it away, and Donnelly intercepts it for the Crimson Tide. Alabama gets it back.
Well, one of our mottos on defense at Alabama has always been, win on D, count on me. That's something that we prided ourselves in, and we felt like as a defensive unit, we could win ball games.
We scored that particular year as much as any group I've ever seen or been associated with. Not only playing pass defense or creating turnovers with fumbles or recoveries, but also block punts, field goals, you name it, every category.
When you lead the nation in 4 categories defensively, especially with the opponents that we played, the name of the game is points. You can play good, but if you give up points, but we led the nation in points and total defense, run defense, and pass defense. And so I knew it would be a good football team, take a good football team to beat us. And on top of that, we could run the football.
Defensively, they could keep us in a game. And what an offense, and when you're playing that good a defense, that good a kicking game, you're not trying to give the game away by gambling or anything. You're trying to play sound offensively, play field position.
In 1992, the philosophy worked to perfection as Alabama rolled off 7 more wins, improving its record to 9-0. Included in this stretch were victories over Tennessee in Knoxville and LSU in Baton Rouge. But Alabama's biggest test of the season came when no one expected it.
I'll tell you the most significant time that I realized that this team could win a national championship or compete for a championship, for me, was when we played Mississippi State.
It's really truly the worst game we played defensively, and in the best game we played offensively. And the kicking game was second to none in that game and helped win the game.
We came out in defense, we blocked a punt. got up early, did some good things on defense, but in the second half, Mississippi State started driving the ball on us. And they had 2 times in drives that were over 60 yards that drove down and actually scored on us, which we have never had that happen before.
This is the first time that we've ever really been tested, I guess you would say, or we was behind the 8 ball. And we just kind of looked at each other and we just knew we were going to get it done, even though the score may not have indicated that at that time.
We had a TV timeout. We were standing in the huddle. I'm talking about everybody was bright-eyed, like, looking around like, man, we down. You know, that's the look on everybody. Nobody said anything. We're down. John Copeland, never forget it. Look, he said, man, everybody in this huddle looks scared. We done been in some close games before. We standing in the huddle acting like this is over. He said, I tell you what, give me 10 more players that want to win this football game tonight, and I win this game with 10 other players that want to play with me. We came out of that TV timeout. The first snap, guess who in the backfield? Copeland. Guess what? He said, okay, I done called on you. Now I'll lead by example.
We got into a position where we needed the offense to pick us up. And that was the first time that year that we really felt as a defense that the offense stepped up, made some great plays to help us out as a defense, to get some first downs, to score points. And at that point, I really felt like, you know what, this is a team and, you know, it's not just about us, because I watched personally the offense step up.
And after we got out of that scare, I think that was the point we said, okay, we can roll through this thing if we step it up.
Alabama left Starkville with its unblemished record intact, and Auburn proved no match for the Crimson Tide the next game, managing only 139 yards offense and no points, Alabama winning 17-0. But unlike most years, an undefeated regular season offered only the opportunity to play for a championship, pitting the top defense in the nation against Steve Spurrier's fun-and-gun Florida offense in the first ever SEC championship game.
You know, we'd won the conference, still hadn't won anything. Now, all of a sudden, we've got to play Florida, and that's a big game, because without beating Florida, we still had just had a good year, but not a great year.
It was the first SEC championship game, which was awesome to play in, but it just came at the wrong time, because that gave us a 12th game that we wouldn't have had to play, you know, years prior to get to the national championship.
What was frightening about that, we were undefeated going in. Florida had lost 4 games, but we still had to beat them. Had we lost the game, Florida would have been the SEC champions with 4 losses.
And Roy Kramer was up there, and I know he was nervous, obviously wanting that system to work. And if we would have lost to Florida, and Florida would have gone to the Sugar Bowl, then no team in the SEC could have competed for the national championship. And he might have caught a lot of blame for why did you add this extra game, and it's going to hurt the SEC and that type of thing.
People don't realize how good Florida was. But they played a great game, and we were very fortunate to win that game, where Antonio Langham overcame his coaching and hid behind the receiver in cover 2 and broke, intercepted, and took it back for a touchdown. If he doesn't make that happen, Florida has the momentum, and it looks like, you know, if he doesn't make that happen, we might get beat.
I told Coach Alva, I said, man, listen. I said, we come back out this, we got to do some defense. I said, maybe we need to just set on a route or something like that. No, because if you set on the route, they're going to hit us right in there with that same. I said, okay. I ain't let you fuss at me all year, but I'm going to give you a chance to fuss at me today. I'm going to set on something today. I'm going to set on one route. And I remember I went to Copeland Curry. I said, man, if y'all can get some pressure on Shane. I said, you know, he'll throw 1 or 2 up every time now when you put a little pressure on him. I said, if y'all get some pressure on him, he throw him my way, he in trouble. I'm intercepted. So Copeland was like, that's all you need, pressure? I said, that's all I need. I said, well, you give us some pressure. Somebody in this back end right here gonna pick him off. We gonna pick him off, just get. And we came out that series. And right when the ball snapped, Shane saw EC coming off the end. He saw Cope coming. He looked, and then he just turned. He threw it. And I was sitting right there. And I was looking, and I said, he just threw this football.
Here's a 1st and 10 Gators now. Football is at the air, 21-yard line. Rick, the single step back behind Matthews as the Bama fans try to distract him. On the snap, he'll drop back. Here comes. Touchdown! Touchdown!
Mr. Playmaker himself, old Sly Fox, comes up with one of the biggest plays in Alabama history to me, intercepting that ball and sealing the game for us. That was, just a tremendous, if you could hear the crowd noise at that game and see probably our sigh of relief knowing that we can get out of here alive, it was just amazing game to play in.
Alabama was the undisputed SEC champion, but in the eyes of the top-ranked Miami Hurricanes, this Alabama team was a weak opponent at best. The number 2 ranked Crimson Tide entered Sugar Bowl week a decided underdog, but word of this fell on deaf ears in the Alabama camp. Defensive coordinator Bill Oliver created a strategy intended to confuse Miami's Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback, including a rarely seen formation that called for all 11 defenders on the line.
All my buddies, they always tell me, man, I was sitting watching that game, and when I saw you guys walk up to the line of scrimmage, you had 10 guys on the line, 11, everybody up there. He said, I didn't know what you guys were doing, but he said, man, I think that's going to work, just because it was different.
The game plan was unorthodox, but we were confident in what they were going to do. Now, nobody on the team liked the Miami Hurricanes. We knew they talked a lot of trash, that they had a lot of speed. We knew all their positive attributes, and we didn't let that hinder us from the way we were going to play them.
We knew the situation. We knew that outside of that locker room, nobody else gave us a chance. But, the challenge was what we needed, I think. And it was never a question in our mind. We didn't know how the game was going to go, but we knew we was going to play well. We knew that it wasn't going to be the blowout everybody was talking about.
It was one of those feelings like they really don't think we should be here. And, listening to them talk, walking around, when we was in New Orleans and some of the things that went on, I don't think they really had any idea what they was in for.
And we wanted to say some stuff, but Coach Stallings was saying, hey, guys, let's just let them do all the talking and, let's just remember that, and when it's time to play, we'll be ready. But we didn't want to give them any type of ammunition, any type of fuel to get them going.
All week, it was more so, this is my week, and this is going to be my night to do this. This is the one time, you know what, George? They got you going in the 6th round. You're supposed to be slow, all this other kind of stuff. And, you're going up against the fastest receivers in the country, this and that. This is your time to shine. But then when you come out of the tunnel and you see all that and you kind of realize, this might be the biggest game I'm ever going to play in. So then you start to your bowels get a little loose, you can't stop having to go pee, you got, your hands are sweating, all this other stuff start happening then, and you're going, oh gosh, how am I going to get through this? All of it went away, first kickoff.
The Alabama and Miami fans standing. The kick is underway. The flashbulb popping wildly, and the football handled by Williams at the 2. Up the near side 10, 15. George Teague has him hard hit, 20-yard line. Down he goes.
First kickoff, I was on the kickoff team, went down, make the tackle, then said, okay, it's on now. It's on now, we can make this happen.
After that first kickoff, you could just feel it. After the first kickoff, you could feel it. You could look at the guys around you and look at the players on the sideline and just see, hey, what about the big D guys?
When the game started, we went on defense first, and I wasn't surprised that we were able to stop them. But they punted to David Palmer, and he returned it, almost broke it, came back, I guess he returned it 30-something yards. And at that moment, the noise level in that stadium raised from where it was to this level, and it never got below that level the rest of the game.
Alabama settled for a field goal after the David Palmer punt return. Miami equaled the effort, tying the ball game with a field goal of its own. After a series of turnovers from both teams, defensive coordinator Bill Oliver decided it was time to dip into his bag of tricks.
The 11-man defense was not supposed to be used. They were going to save it really and truly for the second half. And Miami went down and pretty early in the game and got 3 points. I said, no need in saving it. We better use it.
When they lined up with all 11 on the front and the Miami quarterback, the Heisman Trophy winner, had no idea what they were doing. It scared him so bad he had to call a timeout.
They do check what means at the line. He would get up there and he would look at the defense and he would call a different play or run the same play. But when he walked up to the line, all he did was he was looking for me and he see. He walked up to the line and looking, and he stopped. And I looked at him, and I could just see it in his eye, like, oh, yeah, we're about to get you. From that point on, he could never get into a rhythm.
But I just know seeing him do that and give you one of these, what is going on here? And that was the, all right, we got this guy. And then later, he does again, he tries to back up, falls down on his back. You know, it's like this guy, he didn't have a clue. The coaches don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on except for us.
Just because you put 11 on the line, you can be lined up here on the line, and when the ball is snapped, you can run as fast as you can to the middle of the field, and you're just playing a zone defense. Now, it looks like something else. And the guy lined up here on that wide receiver, when the ball snapped, he can just turn and run as fast as he can to the deep third. So rather than lining up back there and doing it, you lined up somewhere else. But we may be blitzing too. You know, we may be all coming. So that's what confused the quarterback.
The ironic thing about it is we never practiced it in terms of all 11 of us lining up on the line of scrimmage in the game. It was always we broke into the groups and the defensive back groups. The defensive line went to where they were. And everybody knew where they were supposed to line up, and everybody knew their assignment. But we never did it as 11 across.
We talked about doing it earlier on, but actually when he called it, the very first play, we was like, okay, he's really going to do this. And I know me personally, I was just excited. Hey, let's go get him. Let's do it.
So we knew we had them on the ropes just because they didn't have any adjustment to make to what we were doing. None whatsoever.
A Sam Shade interception gave Alabama the ball. Derek Lassick and Sherman Williams followed the blocking of a determined Tide offensive line to the game's first touchdown, sending Alabama into halftime leading 13-6.
I would have loved for Miami to come out in a different offense, a different attack, and do something differently.
The offense they ran, I didn't know what they could do unless they went to an option game or something, but they didn't.
Although I say we were cocky and we were confident, it didn't become a reality that we really can win this game if we go ahead and put the nail in the coffin on these guys.
The first 5 minutes of the third quarter belonged entirely to Alabama. Tommy Johnson intercepted a Toretta pass that led to a Lassick touchdown. Not to be outdone, George Teague jumped the Miami route on the ensuing series and took it all the way for the score. Alabama suddenly led 27-6, and the Hurricanes were stunned.
The interception that he took back for the touchdown, the element involved in that is extremely hard because the receivers got body position on him. And Teague just undoubtedly, just did enough studying the film that if they throw hot, I'm going to break on it and intercept it, and that's exactly what he did.
I mean, I knew what they were going to run before they even ran the play because it was easy, total guess. And I put all my faith in Coach Oliver that time, jumped the route, here comes the ball, touchdown. And it was strictly because of him, his confidence in saying, this is an easy offense. They got fast. If you make a mistake, could be touchdown, but this is easy.
Third quarter. He's going to work from the shotgun. Toretta will with nobody back there with him. Quick release. Intercepted Teague. Intercepted Teague to the 10, to the 5. He cuts left. Touchdown! 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 George Teague intercepting Zito Toretta. And Alabama's on top 26-6.
Miami got the ball back in desperate need of positive momentum. Toretta found what he was looking for, delivering a perfect strike down the left sideline to a streaking Lamar Thomas.
One or two plays make the difference in every ball game you play. It doesn't make any close game. You can go in and take a couple plays, add a couple plays. This was one of those plays.
We were playing in that game with more defensive backs than we had all year. We were playing with 5, 6, 7 defensive backs. So there was some confusion on setting up at times because there was so many receivers and so many DBs in the game.
We had 2 receivers to that side, and we had 2 to the other side, so we can't really and truly double. To double them, we had 3 on 2.
We're actually in a cover 2 man, it's called. Man underneath. The corners and the underneath guys are chasing the guys. They intentionally supposed to let them run past them. And the 2 safeties are supposed to be deep. I was one of the safeties that's supposed to be helping over the top. Now, I'm a little bit tired and winded from getting hit on top of the head, meaning all the excessive celebration we had when I ran the touchdown in, and this, that, and the other. So actually, I'm kind of loafing.
I remember rushing the passer. They got the pass off. And I just looked up and I see Lamar Thomas running down the sideline.
So he just released and just ran like a little go route, like a clear out route. By this time, George takes an angle, flat line. Now, he don't go at an angle like this. George flat lines, and the ball drops right up. I said, oh.
It wasn't a very deep pass. It was just an accurate pass. And if you're watching me, you can see me kind of glancing and looking. Catches the ball. I'm waiting for Willie Gaston to go ahead and tackle him. Well, he doesn't tackle him. He falls down, rolls out of bounds, or whatever it is. Now, I am in total panic mode.
Really, that play should have never happened. Lamar shouldn't have caught the ball, but George got caught looking at, I don't know what he was looking at. I've asked him about it. He just said, man, I just wasn't looking where I was supposed to be looking. He should have looked out there at the receiver.
Coach Oliver said that whole play was George's fault. He said that last week. He said, Anton, you know that was truly George's fault the whole way. And he's like, and I guess as Coach Oliver put it, hell, I guess he realized he was wrong. So he had to right his wrong.
And the bad part about it is for a long time, everybody was blaming Willie Gaston for what happened. Everybody was saying, man, Willie Gaston got burned on that play, and Teague went and caught him, and, Teague saved him. And we all knew that wasn't the truth.
It was pure fear. I mean, because I was doing the Cardinal sin. I was loafing, waiting for somebody else to make the play. He didn't make it. This is I cannot believe this just happened to me. I got to do something, because if I seem like I'm having this conversation with myself the same way I was having it at the game. Man, I got to go back over here. Coach Stallings over there. He's going to pull my face mask off. This, that. You got to do something.
Well, we would have visited. I wouldn't obviously have tried to kill him, but that's one of the things the players knew, that when they made a play, it's not a matter of life and death. But they did eventually have to come by me, and we would visit about a particular play. And I think I told George, I'm not sure, because in the heat of the battle, you don't know really what's, but I think I told him, I said, George, if you were covering your receiver like you're supposed to, you wouldn't have had to make such a great play.
So all the track running, perfect form, motions, all the work we had done and all that kind of stuff, all of it kicked in, along with the fear.
I seen George, he started digging, I was looking. And I've seen George do it a million times. When the head go back, once George running, the head fall back right there, he at top speed. So whatever go happen, it's gonna happen. From that point, either he gonna run out of gas, or he gonna run out of room.
I guess it's like a guy in a burning house can pick up a piano, that kind of stuff. Because he just wasn't gonna let him score.
Once I caught up, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm here now. Well, strip it. That's the things you work on. Knock the ball out. Secure the tackle, one hand over, knock the ball down. I mean, it's just so fantasy book. Typically the ball fall on the ground, bounce over there somewhere. I hit down, the ball goes up. Now, how in the world does that happen? Next thing is all under my chin like this. I just reach up and grab it, athletic enough to step over the guy, turn around and start running back the other way.
I would have thought, naturally, as everybody did, he would run down and tackle him. But no, he just ran down and humiliated him. And it was much worse than a tackle. Much worse. Take the ball and go back the other way with it. Yeah, I loved it.
27-6, Alabama on top. Coretta with the man in the shotgun alongside of him. That's Bennett. Here comes Coretta with a flag on the play. He throws it long. It is complete. It is complete. And could be broken all the way. Down the left sideline. Lamar Thomas. He is going to be overhauled by Alabama down at the 8-yard line. It's fumbled. It's fumbled. It is taken by Teague. He's going to run it back. Alabama's got the football at the 10. But remember, there is a flag. Remember, there is a flag.
Then next thing you know, penalty flag on the field. And guess who jumps outside? London. London been jumping outside all year long. For some reason, he tried to anticipate this snap count. Never gets it right. He didn't get it right all year long.
Mr. Intellectual, Antonio London. It jumped off sides. I guess it didn't really have that much impact on it. Just means my play. It's not a play.
You know, the game's never out of hand. And then all of a sudden there's that guy running for an 85-yard touchdown. That's basically what it was going to be. And obviously the play didn't mean anything. We were still penalized 5 yards because we were offsides, but had they have scored, they would refuse the penalty. Now all of a sudden it would have been a big, big play.
I told George, I said, man, I told him on the sideline, I said, listen, man, no matter how many plays I made this year in this 92 season, none of my plays will ever top that one, man. You went and got him. I'm talking about, and Lamar running around there talking about he's a 4-2, 4-3 guy all day long. I said, if he 4-2, 4-3, then my boy got to be a 4-1-9 or something like that. He got to be in the 4-1 because when the head went back, he reached top speed. I don't know what it was, but he got there. As people call it today, the best play that never counted.
That moment, to have him take that ball out of his hands was almost just it just kind of capitalized our season, our defense, and just that whole night. It was just basically that as a defensive unit, as a team, that this was ours and we were going to take it.
Teague's takeaway was the knockout blow. Miami managed to score on a punt return, but the damage had been done. The loud and proud Hurricanes humiliated on college football's biggest stage by a relentless team that put everything on the line when it mattered most. The University of Alabama's long journey back to college football's mountaintop was complete. Gene Stallings, Mal Moore, Bill Oliver, all men who'd played for and coached with Paul Bryant, had effectively served as guides to restore the program to greatness. The win gave Alabama a 13-0 record and its 12th national championship. And somewhere, surely, the Bear was smiling.
There's just one Coach Bryant who cast a big old shadow. And I loved walking in his shadow. I didn't want to be bigger in his shadow. I was satisfied to just sort of be in his shadow. And that's one of the reasons that I was so pleased that we did help win a national championship, because that's what Coach Bryant started here at Alabama.
What a win and what a great national championship run. It was a 13-0 season for us. It was the first SEC championship year, and how fitting it was that Alabama won the first SEC game. I think we're the flagship of Southern football.
When you dominate every category, number one in all categories, it's got to be special. In today's football, whether it be 40 years ago, 30, it doesn't matter. That's got to be special.
It's only so many times in life that you play any kind of organized sport where you get to be around a group that was as special as that one we had in '92, man. And I tell people all the time, man, I wouldn't take nothing for it. If I could go back in time and do it all over again, I want the same group that was there, man. In '92, I want that same group back, the same guys.
When I was in college at Bama, some of the guys who were in college at some other places, their schools weren't like that. They weren't as close. They didn't have the athletic dorm, so once those guys left practice, a lot of them didn't see each other anymore. I mean, we ate together, we ate breakfast, lunch, dinner together. Some guys didn't do that on other teams, and we were fortunate enough to have that, and I think it was truly a great situation, a great time to be at the University of Alabama.
If you ask anybody that know me, Alabama is everything to me. There's nothing else but Alabama to me. If anybody asks me any question about anything, it's always Alabama. So I live and die Alabama. I always will. Best thing could have happened in my life was coming to the University of Alabama.
I'm able to sit here and influence kids, adults, and be able to talk to them about troubles, what led up to that, prior to that, how things have changed since then. I mean, it's just a blessing, man, to be able to use football, Alabama football, and be able to go back to Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, whatever it is, and talk to the kids and say, man, this is what it's all about. Life, Jesus Christ, what you're doing, how you affect people, what you say to them. I mean, my life is good, brother. My life is good.
tackled by Teague. Thomas fumbled the football. Teague recovered it, but there's a flag. We'll have to wait and see what all comes out of this. Meanwhile, Willie Gaston on the Alabama secondary is down on the field at the 9-yard line.
The fumble was caused by Teague. He actually ran down Thomas from the rear, and that's something, though, that Miami can do. They can strike from anywhere, and Willie Gaston is still injured. He's lying at about the 10-yard line. Teague recovered the fumble.
And it's going to be offside against Alabama, I believe, the way Miami is celebrating.
So they'll take the penalty there. We have offside on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Well, bring it back. Much ado about nothing.
Well, that's right. It was a biggie because Teague, but what that play did, I'm telling you, Eli, although Alabama was offside, then they'll keep the ball. But watch Teague run down Thomas from the rear and slap the ball out of his hands on that play and take it away from him. Thomas is going to think of that the next time he goes out on any kind of pass play, I promise you. Willie Gaston is up, and he's walking off the field under his own power.
The crowd is also cheering, just as the highlight is shown on the Diamond Vision screen, the big color screens here at the Superdome. Even though it's a mark back against Alabama, the crowd enjoyed watching George Teague strip that ball from Lamar.
If Teague doesn't get him, it's a touchdown. Yeah. They refuse the penalty.